After 9 months, the Uchence Wilson gang trial ended today with the established leader Uchence Wilson facing more than 20 years in prison for at least being the leader of a criminal organization. Mr. Wilson was found guilty on several charges by the trial judge, Chief Justice Brian Sykes. Here is our reporter Kirk Wright, who has been following the trial from the beginning.
During the Uchence Wilson gang trial, it was established that the gang members were operating as a criminal organization with the intent to commit several criminal acts, namely burglary and larceny. It was also established that the men carried out some of those serious crimes, and it was also borne out in court that Uchence Wilson was the leader.
In terms of the leadership offense that my client alone has been found guilty of, the act indicates that he can be sentenced to a period of up to 30 years imprisonment.
Mr. Wilson had 34 charges against him. He was convicted in 10. Several of his co-accused were freed because of insufficient evidence, while others were convicted on some of the 53 charges all the accused faced in court.
For persons who have been convicted under the members section, they can be convicted for sentenced for up to 20 years.
For the most part, throughout the 9 months trial, Wilson maintained the same composure, seemingly not fazed about most things. Earlier in the trial, though, Wilson expressed concern to me that his child was being victimized at school because it came out in the media that his father is a gang member. Today, his attorney, Lloyd McFarlane, was mum on the outcome for his client.
I usually don't, in terms of specifically what would have happened in relation to my client.
Wilson and the other convicts will be sentenced on November 30. Meanwhile, Lloyd Knight, the policeman who was charged as a member of the gang, walked free today on the basis of poor identification to link him as being part of the criminal organization or carrying out any criminal acts.
Obviously, for my client, he is relieved, he is elated. He has spent 2 years and 10 months in custody. And as a result of that, understandably, he is overjoyed.
One of the Crown's witnesses gave evidence on at least 3 occasions that he saw Knight in the company of the gang leader, including at one point collecting money, phone cards, and guns from the gang. The judge says the identification evidence against Knight was not clear, and that throughout the trial he found that in many instances the witness was not credible. Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
Now, stinging criticism about the police investigation into the Uchence matter this evening from an attorney representing one of the men freed today. Anthony Lugg reports.
The Uchence Wilson gang trial started with 24 persons on the indictment, but when the trial ended on Tuesday, only 9 persons were convicted of being a part of a criminal organization. This morning, 13 persons were left to answer charges, and when the matter was called up, Chief Justice Brian Sykes found Kenneth Winter, Karen Walters, Dane Edwards, and Lloyd Knight not guilty for being a part of a criminal organization. Peter Champagny represents Knight, the policeman who was accused of being a member of the gang.
When you examine, as the Chief Justice did, in terms of the evidence, it was found wanting, not just in terms of issues with visual identification, but generalities that were used in the testimony of the witness upon whom they sought to rely on to establish a case against Detective Corporal Knight.
Similar sentiments were shared by the attorneys representing Karen Walters, who chided the investigators.
The quality of the evidence did not reach to that threshold to convince him. And so, we're very elated at the fact that he came to the conclusion and made the ruling that he did.
Many of the times they go after persons and they do not do a thorough investigation. So they will take them up and they will do the investigation during the time that they're in custody. And I think that is something that needs to be addressed.
When found not guilty, Dane Edwards chanted "freedom" from outside the courtroom. Alexander Shaw is one of his attorneys.
He has been before the court in this matter for 9 months and certainly is freed of being labeled as a part of a criminal organization. And it is on that basis that he cried freedom.
But with more than half the accused in the Uchence Wilson gang found not guilty, sections of the anti-gang legislation have again been brought into question.
I think it points to the fact that the legislation is a difficult legislation to maneuver from a prosecutorial point of view, because one starts with a negative position in the sense that in any case like this, it requires a self-confessed member of a gang who starts with a deficiency in terms of credibility. So invariably, although the law does not require corroboration, the court will have to look to see if there is any independent evidence having regard to the fact that the witness is normally an accomplice anyway, to see if there is support and credibility in terms of what is being said.
It means that the Crown has to do more work and the justice system is intact.
Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.